Welcome to Animania Chronicles, where we dive deep into the captivating worlds of anime, dissecting stories, unraveling characters, and sharing our passion for all things animated. Today, we will dive into the delightful and mouth-watering world of campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. Join us as we review the first half of this charming anime, where we follow the adventures of Mukouda, a humble salaryman transported to a fantastical realm. The story begins with three high school students and Mukouda Tsuyoshi, who were summoned to another world as heroes. A magician appraised their abilities and discovered that the high schoolers possessed strong, unique skills. Mukouda, however, learned that his unique skill was online grocery, causing him emotional distress as he felt inferior compared to the high school students. Deciding that his online grocery skills wouldn't be useful in battle against the Demon King, Mukouda resolved to live a simple life in the new world. Shortly after, Mukouda received 20 gold coins from the king and realized his clothes made him stand out. He bought new clothes to blend in and rented a room, relieved he didn't have to become a hero like the others. Opening his status, Mukouda learned about his powers and tried to activate a unique skill, which led to him accessing an online grocery website. Amazed by this isekai Amazon-like ability, Mukouda planned to use it to make money. The following morning, Mukouda aimed to leave the kingdom and fortuitously secured the last seat on a carriage heading to Kells. During the journey, he met a merchant and decided to keep his appraisal skill a secret to avoid trouble. Learning that the kingdom's border would soon close due to an impending war, Mukouda hurried to leave. Arriving in the next town, he visited the Adventurers Guild to hire escorts, paying 8 gold coins to hire Werner for a trip to the kingdom of Venin. The next morning, Mukouda met Werner's party members and was introduced to Verer. They departed, and Mukouda enjoyed seeing more of the world. During a break in the afternoon, he impressed Werner's party with his magic stove, preparing delicious sandwiches and soup. As they resumed their journey, Rita spotted monsters, and Mukouda was stunned to encounter them firsthand. After a group of monsters attacked, Werner and Vincent defeated them, while Mukouda learned about the size of a boar in this world. Later, when Rita spotted a red boar, Mukouda witnessed it being slain by the party. He offered to store the meat in his item box and prepared dinner that evening, although he initially felt embarrassed to cook in front of others. Then he made a stew and served it to his friends. They tried Mukouda's stew, and Mukouda thought they didn't like his dish. However, he was wrong because they loved his stew, and Vincent asked for another serving. Mukouda was happy that they enjoyed his meals, and Bianca said that their bodies felt lighter. Mukouda decided to use his appraisal skill and learned that their stats were increased by his meals. He realized that the food from his online grocery could temporarily increase stats, but he didn't want to have any problems, so he decided to keep it a secret. The next morning, they traveled further, and Mukouda had a lot of fun on the journey. In the evening, Mukouda learned that they had soon arrived in the kingdom of Venin. Mukouda was planning to prepare dinner and decided to cook a meal with the red boar meat. He decided to season the meat and marinate it in ginger sauce. Then he cut cabbage and put a lot of oil in the pan. When it was fried, an aroma was created, and Vincent was already excited. A few moments later, his ginger-fried red boar was served, and his friends were looking forward to tasting it. They went into a food coma because his dish was very delicious. They were surprised by the crispy texture and praised Mukouda for his cooking skills. Meanwhile, a strong monster smelled that delicious aroma. Suddenly, Werner and his comrades looked at Mukouda strangely and told him to turn around because there was a legendary monster behind him. Mukouda was shocked, and the Fenrir ordered Mukouda to feed him. Mukouda gave him his plate, but it wasn't enough for the monster. Mukouda immediately began to fry more meat and served it to the monster. The legendary monster loved his food, and Mukouda became his private chef. A few hours later, the Fenrir was full and praised Mukouda's cooking skills. As a result, he decided to form a contract with Mukouda. Mukouda was shocked that a legendary Fenrir wanted to become his familiar. Mukouda wanted to refuse but had no choice and accepted to form a contract. Then the Fenrir created a familiar contract, and Mukouda acquired a powerful S-rank familiar. A few moments later, Mukouda wanted to name his Fenrir Pochi. The Fenrir replied that he was not a dog, and Mukouda asked if he liked the name Fel. The following day, Mukouda traveled further, and Werner was worried because they had almost reached the borders. Mukouda learned that people are afraid of Fel because one Fenrir can wipe out an entire country. Mukouda was worried because it might cause trouble for him, and Fel promised to take care of his problems. Then Fel was hungry, and Mukouda noticed that he didn't have much of the red boar meat left. Fel found out about this and planned to go hunting monsters. Meanwhile, Werner's party was amazed that Mukouda could give such orders to a Fenrir. A few minutes later, Fel returned, having defeated a huge rock bird. Werner explained to Mukouda that this B-rank monster is very strong and the materials are worth a lot. Shortly afterward, he began to fry the rock bird meat and caramelize it in the sauce. Following this, Fel's meal was prepared and he loved his master's cooking. In the afternoon, they reached the border of the kingdom of Venin. Werner wanted to go ahead and explain the situation to the guards. Mukouda was then surrounded by guards because they saw Fel as a threat. Mukouda explained to the knight that he would take care of Fel and ordered Fel not to do any nonsense in the kingdom. Fel promised not to cause any trouble, and the commander of the knights allowed them entry into the kingdom of Venin. Then Mukouda learned that he had to pay a fee because he didn't have a guild card. Afterwards, Werner said that it wouldn't be long until the king found out about Fel. He told Mukouda about his plan to travel and see the world. As a result, Werner recommended Mukouda register in the Adventurer Guild or the Merchant Guild. Mukouda was unsure which guild to choose and learned that he was allowed to register in both. Afterwards, one of Margrave Lindel's servants showed up and tried to invite Mukouda to Margrave Lindel's mansion. Mukouda tried to politely decline the invitation, but the servant remained stubborn. Suddenly, Fel talked to the servant and threatened him not to cause any problems for his master. Werner was worried about Mukouda in case Margrave Lindel wanted revenge for refusing his invitation. Fel said that he would protect Mukouda, and they learned that Fel had fought an ancient dragon before. Then Mukouda signed that Werner's party had brought him safely to the kingdom of Venin. They told Mukouda that they had a lot of fun and said goodbye. Mukouda's next plan was to go to the Merchant Guild, and he told Fel about his plans. When entering the Merchant Guild, many were shocked by seeing Mukouda's pet. He said he wanted to register as a merchant. Vanessa then explained to him the ranks and fees in the Merchant Guild. After that, Mukouda successfully registered in the Merchant Guild and received the Iron rank. A few hours later, Fel was hungry and Mukouda wanted to cook dinner. He took out the rock bird meat from the item box and Mukouda wanted to eat rice. He ordered the ingredients and another pot from his grocery skill. Then he started frying the meat to make it nice and crispy. Mukouda also added soy sauce to the meat and Fel did a taste check. Fel immediately wanted to eat more, and he learned that Mukouda was trying out different sauces. Mukouda was able to make his pet happy, and he learned that Fel likes garlic sauce the most. 20 minutes later, Mukouda's rice was ready, and he made himself a red boar steak bowl for dinner. Fel became jealous, and he asked Mukouda to serve him a red steak bowl too. After dinner, he was tired, but he wanted to prepare something for tomorrow. The next morning, he visited the Merchant Guild and brought goods that he wanted to sell. Vanessa asked him to wait a moment, and Mukouda was confused. Suddenly, Vanessa asked him to follow her into a room. The reason for this was that the guild master wanted to see him. He was impressed by the quality of Mukouda's salt and pepper that he brought with him. Then he learned that he could become rich with the goods he bought from his online grocery store. Suddenly, the guild master started offering him a lot of money. Mukouda was surprised by this, and he received 17 gold for his goods. After receiving the money, Mukouda planned to register as an adventurer. Once he arrived, he filled out a registration form. Mukouda immediately received his membership card and was surprised by the rude manner of the receptionist. Then the rules were explained to him, and he learned that he had to complete quests regularly. So Mukouda decided to take on his first quest and wanted to go collecting medicinal herbs tomorrow. Meanwhile, Fel waited obediently for his master and asked for his food. Then Mukouda looked at Fel's status and realized that he was overpowered. The next morning, Mukouda was excited to start his first quest in this world. He started to wash his face, and Fel was angry because Mukouda ignored him. Fel was hungry, and Mukouda replied that he would prepare him breakfast soon. Later, Mukouda ordered Fel to hunt monsters while he searched for medicinal herbs. Fel sensed that monsters were nearby and cast a protective spell on his master. Then Fel set off on the monster hunt, and Mukouda planned to begin his quest. He used his appraisal skill and was able to easily find many medicinal herbs. He found more than he needed and planned to prepare lunch next. Following this, he bought ingredients from the grocery store and decided to cook pasta. After chopping some onions, he added some meat and sauce into the pot, creating a delicious aroma. Meanwhile, Fel returned, and Mukouda learned that he had defeated a rock bird again. Fel said that he had defeated more monsters that lay at the edge of the forest. Shortly after, he began cooking the pasta. He added the sauce on top and bought some Parmesan cheese. Fel learned that this dish was called spaghetti and loved it. After this, Mukouda recommended to Fel that he should eat the spaghetti with Parmesan cheese, and he experienced a food coma. Mukouda had a lot of fun with Fel and enjoyed his isekai life. He later learned that his familiar had defeated countless powerful monsters. He was shocked by this and stored it in his item box. Then he learned that orcs are supposed to be edible, and Mukouda was shocked by this. A few moments later, they wanted to go back to town, and Fel offered Mukouda to ride on him. Mukouda accepted his offer and was excited. Suddenly, Fel sped up, and Mukouda told him to slow down. Arriving in the town, Mukouda said he was glad he didn't die. Then he visited the Adventurers Guild, and Tina was impressed that he gathered so much as a newbie. Shortly afterwards, he told Tina that he wanted to sell monsters, and she learned about Mukouda's familiar. Tina immediately fell in love with Fel and sent him to Jack. Mukouda took out an orc from his item box, and Jack was shocked about it. He took Mukouda to the guild's warehouse and was already hearing rumors about him. Then Mukouda took out the defeated monsters from his item box, and he learned that many of them were A-rank monsters. He explained to Butcher Jack that he only needed the meat and would sell the materials to the Adventurer Guild. Then Jack asked Mukouda to come back tomorrow, but Mukouda needed meat for his dinner. In the evening, Mukouda took out the ingredients, and he already knew what to cook with the orc meat. Then he began to season the meat and dipped it into his egg mixture. Next, he started frying the orc meat, and Fel was excited because he was very hungry. Finally, he added the remaining meat sauce and served dinner to Fel. Fel said that the orc meat is very tender, and Mukouda was surprised that orc tastes like premium pork. The next morning, he visited Butcher Jack to collect his meat. Suddenly, Jack gave him 200 gold coins, and Mukouda was shocked about it. He learned that the materials from the monsters were very valuable. He also received magic stones that A-rank monsters drop. Afterwards, Mukouda learned that some rumors say that Fel is actually a great wolf. Jack laughed and knew that Fel was definitely a legendary fenrir. Mukouda realized that a lot of people were talking about him, and he planned to tell everyone in the future that Fel was a great wolf. Meanwhile, Fel was hungry again and asked Mukouda to cook him a meal. Following this, Mukouda left the city and found the place to camp. A few moments later, Mukouda was planning to reward Fel, and he asked Fel what he would like to eat. Mukouda couldn't decide, and Fel started drooling. Then he ordered many delicious dishes from Uber Eats and served Fel meat from Japan. While Fel ate the appetizer, Mukouda fried Wagyu steak. Fel learned that Wagyu steak is incredibly tasty and was surprised by the tenderness. Mukouda fried more steaks for Fel, and he was glad that Fel enjoyed this meal. After dinner, Fel said that he felt full of energy after eating Mukouda's dishes. Mukouda activated his appraisal skill and was shocked to see that Fel's stats were increased by 50%. Fel cast a protective spell on Mukouda and wanted to go hunting monsters. A few moments later, Mukouda built himself a bed and immediately fell asleep on his Japanese futon mattress. Meanwhile, Fel spotted a rock bird and easily defeated it. Then Fel found a giant deer and tested his lightning spell on it. Fel had a lot of fun, and an orc general tried to defeat Fel. Unfortunately, he wasn't a serious opponent, and Fel defeated him with a single strike. Suddenly, a chimera showed up, and Fel cast a very powerful lightning spell. The next morning, Mukouda woke up and was shocked after seeing the monsters. As a result, he decided never to serve Wagyu beef to Fel again. A few days passed, and Mukouda served Fel his lunch. Fel praised his master for his cooking skills. Mukouda fried chicken and was happy that Fel liked his butter chicken dish. Then Mukouda ate sandwiches and asked Fel if he uses magic when he hunts monsters. Mukouda learned that Fel is the best at using wind magic because he had been blessed by the goddess Neria. After that, he learned that if he has magical power, he can use magic too. Fel explained to Mukouda how to use magic, and he realized that his pet was a genius. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the vast realms of anime. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and stay tuned for more thrilling reviews and discussions. Until next time, keep exploring the boundless wonders of anime with us.